Hello, welcome to a quick demonstration on a workaround to prevent edit of posted or paid AR sales invoices. So as what we have an option to disable editing after posted transactions are printed or emailed. This may not be a viable solution for the a customer as from these from the description of this option itself, the transaction has to be printed or emailed in order for the edit button on the AR invoices uh, to be enabled. So to be disabled rather. So this can be for audit purposes, wherein once posted or paid at that, it shouldn't be edited further, even for reclassify and all those. So it's up to you to weigh really which ones the customer really needs. And this may be essential as well, is that for some customers that require the AR invoice to be reviewed first. So once it's reviewed, um, you know, um, it can be posted. Once posted again, it cannot be edited any further. So as what we know, there's no approval process in accounts receivable directly. All right. So what can be done here is that on the accounts receivable permissions, particularly the AR sales invoices, you can just enable the list and view, while the rest, like add, edit, post, delete, override, AR account, reverse, reclass, can be disabled. So essentially, with this one here, AR sales invoices will just be viewed or edited, right? But what will happen now? So what you can do is that you can create or make use of the order entry transaction definitions. So in this case, I have two transaction definition. One is for once the order is being reviewed, right? So you can create a transaction definition for that and name it appropriately. But this one here, I just want to make it more straightforward. AR invoice, not final, but this is actually an order entry. So the transaction type is order, their workflow as order, and yep, similar to that one. But what's important here is that when we go to um, a transaction posting, it's do not post, right? Because this is like pending reviewed, pending review, and yeah, posting configuration is not enabled because this is non-posting. So they can create a transaction definition um, of this type that upon while the invoice is being reviewed, then you can just have it because this can already be printed, right, and sent accordingly to the, let's say, whoever is going to review internally or even the customer just before finalizing it, right? So once the review is done, it can be converted then to the AR um, invoice, another transaction definition. But this time, if you have a look at this one here, so you can just preserve, right, or inherit the source document number. So if you have like IN, 12345 from the for review transaction definition, then it can just be copied across to this another transaction definition. So there will be no confusion and there will be no new document number. So they will just be using the same document number. But what's the difference with this one here is that once converted, firstly, this is should be posting to the accounts receivable, right? So if we look and converted from as well. So if you look at the security configuration, we're talking about that once posted, right? It shouldn't be edited. So what you can do is just make sure that the edit policy is no edit, right? Maybe delete policy is no delete as well, and create policy is convert. So it can only be converted from the transaction definition, which is the prior the AR invoice, prior approval. So at least there will be no new one created directly of this type. So it will just be converted. But what's important again is that once it's converted, there's no edit functionality at all. So that's the purpose of this one here. Basically, is that once posted or paid, then it shouldn't be editable. The AR invoice should not be editable. But yeah, let's have a look how this actually behaves, or this how this will work. So let me just create, let's say, this one here is like an invoice, right? So an invoice that needs to be reviewed internally or by the customer. So if I just fill out the other details in here, so that's one thing that we need to, if there is, if it's an accounts receivable, if the customer is accustomed to accounts receivable, so introducing order entry also introduces the concept of item ID, because the item is what drives the posting eventually. All right. So yep, let me just change this to, let's say, for $200. All right. So this is like the invoice that is to be reviewed first. Oh, sorry. Just need to select location in here and post this one. All right. So with this, so you can see there's a convert link for this one, right? And what happens with this one here is that if this is just under review, for example, right, maybe by the whoever, maybe the project manager or whoever, and yeah, you can just have it like this, and you can make edit if necessary, and you can print or email to the customer for review, before, maybe prior to sending the final one. You might just ask the customer to check first that this is the potential, invoice that you will be sending the customer, or internally as well, whether you are charging the customer properly. And yep, so what if, there's like a change basically, so it shouldn't just be 200 there, it should have been 300, right? And post it. All right, once being reviewed already, what happens is that we would like, so you can still edit this one here, this transaction definition, prior to approval. But once approved, you convert this into the another transaction definition that we saw earlier. But this one is the one posting with AR. So so this has already been finalized, already reviewed, and the customer should be okay with this. And you can just click on post, right? So you will notice in here that this is the one that we just created earlier. So there's no edit button on it. It's all because we defined it with the transaction definition that no edit. So that's what we would like to indent, right? So once it has been approved or reviewed internally or posted or paid, then this shouldn't be editable at all. So there's no edit there, right? And even if you click on view here, there's no edit button. So any user will not be able to edit this at all, because that's what we defined on the transaction definition for like the final invoice, right? That prevents further editing for posted or paid transaction, right? So we know that this invoice would auto create an error invoice, right? But we already defined that because this one is posting to accounts receivable, and we know that we've disabled the other permissions aside from, and we just left list and view there. But let's have a look if that's actually the case, because you really want to prevent any user from editing posted or even paid transactions, right? So if I go to accounts receivable here and AR, and this is the one that we just created, right? Which is 300 plus 10% GST. So we have 330. So you will notice in here that there's no edit button, similar to the original transaction definition. There's no edit here. On the accounts receivable itself, there's no way even to edit that as well. So you can only receive payment out of it, which is great, but there's no further edit because this is under the assumption that this invoice, AR sales invoice, auto-generated by the order entry transaction definition, has already been finalized, reviewed, and cannot be changed any further. So we've achieved that goal. There's no edit at all, both in order entry as well as in the auto-generated AR invoice. So this there will be like with this solution there will be like a change in the process, wherein it's not going to be directly with AR invoice, but instead making use of the order entry to achieve that goal. Because in the order entry you have that option basically to restrict any further edit of the transaction definition and just drive the if it's posting to AR, and just make sure that the permissions list and view are only available for the auto-generated AR sales invoices. And I really hope that this quick demonstration helps. Thank you.